This call is being
All right.
recorded.
All right, we good? Can you? I don't know if the air conditioner's
This
No,
call
it's
is
good. I'm
being
just working. I'm just
recorded.
turning it on. All right.
okay.
So, all right. So I was gonna ask you. It's like general talk. It's pretty simple.
Mm.
And then, I was gonna say, you were okay. You were driving, and then you noticed all these different cars following you with their lights on, right?
Yeah.
What was the first thing that came to your mind?
I mean, if I hadn't already seen your videos and like known what it was about, I probably would have freaked out a little bit. But like when it first happened, it wasn't driving. It was it was people driving and whistling and walking and street theater like it was everything all in one go. The first time that it happened, and they went all out. So after that, I don't know, just all out assault on all of my senses. Like I was pretty hypersensitive to just about everything. Like I noticed every little thing after that, and then it died down for a bit. Like I mean that first initial shock went on for probably a month, every day for a month.
Right.
Then,
The initial shock.
yeah. And then it died down when I left to Oklahoma to go stay with my aunt, because clearly staying up here wasn't an option. I just thought, honestly, I thought it was my ex, like, and his friends I thought he was paying his friends to just freak me the fuck out and try to make me lose my shit. So I thought, all right, well, if I move states, that's not going to change anything, or that'll change everything, right? So I moved to Oklahoma City, and then at first it went really well. And then out of nowhere, there was a long line at the gas station, and just they were saying certain catchphrases and certain things that I had just gotten done talking to my aunt about. I was getting phone calls. I had gone down there to help her remodel her house, and I was getting phone calls from a Minnesota number asking if we needed help remodeling the house.
Right.
You know, right? And sorry.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish.
Okay. And then there was the night on the bus. I was taking the bus back to my aunt's house after a job interview, and this bus normally has maybe 4 or 5 people, other people on it at all, and the entire bus was crowded except for one seat. So of course I had to sit there, and then it was just constant street theater and just a constant assault on like everything.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't noticed color coding yet at that point, because I mean there was a lot of sunglasses. That was the biggest thing. Lots and lots of people with sunglasses in the middle of the night on a bus. Couple of people in security. Yeah, a couple of people in security guard outfits. And then I left from Oklahoma City. Like I freaked the fuck out, and I know I'm cussing a lot. I'm sorry, but I already have anxiety as it is. I've had anxiety I've been diagnosed with it for many years, and that really didn't help any. And I sat there at the house. My aunt's watching me take my phone apart and take the battery out and be like, I don't want anything to do with this thing anymore. Because these are things that are said in front of my phone. Like I already knew from the get-go that it had to do with my phone. Because if I had a conversation away from my phone, that was not one of those things that got brought up in street theater or anything. After that, I guess I didn't notice any vehicles with headlights on at that point. But like I said, I was in a bus. So it started off more as the street theater, but then I moved to Kansas City, Missouri. And again, at first it was just fine there until like the people that I was staying with there, they were good people and all, but severe alcoholics, and I couldn't deal with it at that point. Like I'm trying to get up on my feet and trying to get a job so I can get my own apartment and all this, and it's not working when you got people waking you up at 3 o'clock in the morning asking you the same question 10 times. So I went and stayed in
Right.
the shelter, and again, for about the first week there at the shelter, things were going well and everything was fine. And then I um I left the shelter because somebody else, who's a friend of a friend, had said that we could stay over there and get up on our feet a little bit easier because they actually had some work for us to do. We were going to be painting houses and stuff, and we're like, all right, well, heck, that's a good start with something, and at least then I have a reference around that I can use for getting something more of a career rather than just a job. And then it all went crazy, and I'm not talking just a few, like a hundred. I'm not talking just like 20, 30 people on a bus. I mean the entire city. It was everywhere we went. We went to I, well, it was actually me and my friend. She was there for all of it too, like for the incident in Kansas City. She was there for all of it. There were cars driving by and honking every time we turned. So like just because like things were getting weird. The buses are never this crowded. People are never having these conversations. These are conversations I had with her, like while we're still in the shelter.
Mhm.
And and keep in mind, I never had minutes on my phone at this point or anything. Like it was just I used it for Wi-Fi so that I could get in touch with my mom on Facebook and stuff. And yeah, they followed us every step we went, and there were thousands of people. It had to be because we went from we went to one place where you could get a free meal or whatever because we were hoping to run into an old friend from the shelter to see how they were doing because she was still over there. And the entire again, normally there's maybe 10 or 20 people here for this lunch thing, and the entire place was totally full, nowhere to sit. The conversations that they were having, and once again, do you need any help? How long have you been at this? Oh, 7 years, 9 years. And I know that this doesn't make sense to you, but the things that they were saying made sense to me at the time because these are things that conversations that I had just had, with other people, not necessarily just recently, but over the course of maybe a year, like as far back as it went. And like these things were clearly directed at me. Um, and well, me and Michelle, and Michelle heard bits and pieces. Now I have not talked to her for a while. I don't know if it's continued on with her. I don't know if she has dealt with this problem since then, because um, I guess I'll get back to that in a second here. But every time like we were walking downtown, this is a big city, and like every bus we got onto was totally crowded. Every time we turned, there would be a vehicle following us, and they would honk every time we turned, and then more cars would come up behind us. Um, we went to a library. All right, now the library. All right, no, not a whole lot of people use libraries anymore. You're if you're college students and you're people doing research on little bits and pieces, but there were at least 200 or maybe 100 people in this library, and a police officer, well, a quote unquote police officer, and she was walking around the bookcases like acting like she was guarding them. And it was so insane how far they went, and like you can't stop and ask anybody like what the hell is going on, because anytime you do, they just answer, I don't know what you're talking about. There was one dude where clearly I was in the middle of having a panic attack on the bus, and he was like, you don't have to panic. It's just psychology. Those are his exact words. And then from then on, trying to talk to him, like I got no straight answers. That was the only thing that he said. Um, and then eventually, I basically ended up hiding out in my friend's apartment. Like, and I'm like, dude, I can't. I know you're getting some help through the county and that, and I'll work on getting on that stuff too. But there's no way that I can work in this city anyway.
Mhm.
Because I didn't even want to go across the street to go to the gas station to get a soda.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah.
Yeah. It got bad. And I mean, I must have stayed in that apartment and did not leave for a good month, except for when we went over to his parents' house, like, because I knew it was just his parents over there. We'd go over there and chill there for a bit. Anyway, eventually my friend from New Ulm was saying that he was going to be moving back to Houston, and he just wanted help packing up his car and getting his cat ready. He's in love with that cat, but like the cat does not like going into kennels or anything like that. But she's like comfortable with me. I'm like, all right, well, I'll help you out with that. You can always drop me off on the way there. Hopefully by then she'll calm down in the car and you ain't gonna have to worry about it. And then he ended up getting sent to us. Like we came up here, and I was staying at mom's until we were getting ready to pack up his car. And long story short, he ended up into a psych ward because he stopped taking his meds, and he really, he's got bipolar and a few everything other things. He doesn't have schizophrenia or anything like violent or anything like that. It's just when you've got bipolar, anxiety, and like 6 or 7 other different things, including diabetes, like you need to be on certain meds. Maybe not all of them, but anyway, it's a good thing that it happened. He ended up in the psych ward, and they changed all of his meds. He was taking like 9 of them, and then they put him down to just taking 2 of them every day. And he's been pretty decent since then. But anyway, he was locked up for a month, so I got stuck in this town for a month. And was already not liking it because the one time that I went downtown, which isn't too far from my mom's, it's like 3 or 4 blocks, and it's downtown. Well, I've mentioned to you before, this is a pretty small town, it's 14,000 people, I think less than that even. And there are hundreds of people downtown. Again, none with color coding, but lots of sunglasses. Oh, and FedEx trucks. That's the other thing that I have noticed is FedEx trucks. And this can be any hour of the night. You know what I mean? It's not just during the day. It's whenever. It'll be a FedEx truck and generally sunglasses and a beeping noise anytime someone in a FedEx uniform walks by me. And then it'll beep again as they walk away. And then let's see. Then I ended up. My brother was gonna go up to Litchfield to help with the carnival. I'm like, you know what? Not a bad idea because then I can catch right back to Kansas City with them. At least I have my own apartment and all that there. So I get up there and I ended up jumping with the carnival after we get back through New Ulm. I'm like, you know what? It's already happened again in New Ulm. I don't want to be anywhere near here. I'm just jumping with the carnival just to get the hell away from everything. And then it totally died down for probably 2 months until we got to one particular city. And I don't remember the name of it. Charles does. But it was one particular city in Tennessee. And there were, again, the sunglasses and the FedEx, and they're like, I'm working on the Funhouse is what I was running, and across from me, I'm staring at 20 people in a line that are just staring at me, all with sunglasses, 2 of them in uniforms, smiling, and then, let's see. After that, I kind of went without incident until we got to Louisiana, and I ended up I wanted to go back to New Ulm, because they weren't going to take me with on winter route. They weren't taking women with on winter route, which, whatever, it is what it is. So I was coming back up here, and then on the Greyhound back up to Minnesota. Once again, there was only 1 seat open, and it was just an all-out assault. I did, now, a few times I have tried, forgot to mention this, a few times I had tried this before where I was getting on the internet and stuff like that to try to play music and have my headphones in and block it all out. Well, they have cut off my ability to get on Wi-Fi. And they did it on the bus too, because at first, when I first got in there, I could connect to it, and then it just killed. And the bus just loaded up with people. But I did figure out I have one of my games that doesn't use Wi-Fi, so I sat there and I was just playing that and like had my headphones in and it was on full blast. I didn't hear a word they were saying. I already knew what was happening. And then I got back up here, and for the most part, I went without incident until I went with my friend to go walk to the utility. She's in a wheelchair, and sometimes she just want some company? I'm like, all right, that's cool. She don't live that far away. We walked to the utility office, so she could pay her bills. And again, it was at first it started off with just a few extra people here and there talking loudly during specific parts of the conversation so I can hear it. And then like even when we got to the utility office, there were two people in one room pretending to be construction crew, I think, but they were wearing like security uniforms and sunglasses indoors and clearly making sure that I saw them. Like they would look out the window and make sure that I saw that they were in there. So I went into the shut-in thing again for a while after that. And then it wasn't until I mean, and it's happened small little things like that. Oh yeah, and then when I went to the bakery, I texted my friend, the same one that actually brought me up here that time from Kansas City. I texted him and I was like, "Hey, can you pick me up near the bakery and just drop me off at home, or just I like he understands that I have anxiety, and I hadn't told him the gang stalking part. Like he just understood that I was having an anxiety attack, so he came and picked me up. But after I sent out the message and said where I was going to be at, there were 20 cars that pulled up, not with lights on or anything, but they all pulled in and parked right at the bakery. All came in and stared at me, and I kind of laughed at them. I'm like, y'all crack me up, you know. And then, geez, and there were similar incidents to that until I started working at where I'm working at now, which is a soil testing lab. And there was one guy that started the day after, or 2 days after I did. Now, before he started, though, we had a fire extinguisher inspector come and look at all the fire extinguishers with sunglasses on inside, and with what looked more like a security guard uniform that just happened to say fire extinguisher personnel or something like that on the back. So I was like, okay, well, whatever, they're here. I don't know if they're just trying to scare me off. I'm not leaving. I'm going to stand my ground this time. I'm tired of this shit. Because running obviously doesn't help. Anyway, the next day, this other guy started. And, like, I had the vibe from him right from the start. He hadn't even said a word to me, and I immediately knew. Like, we had a few other people that started that day, too. But with this particular one, I just knew. And there have been a couple of times at work where he and a person who looked like another worker but definitely wasn't that other person because I work with that person. Like I know exactly what she looked like. The hair was just slightly off color. Same length, same clothing style, same lab coat, same safety glasses, but the hair was slightly different. That's the only reason that I knew it wasn't her. They did a little bit of street theater for me there in the break room. And like I didn't even at this point, like I knew it was coming, but for whatever reason, like I still hadn't quite figured out what gang stalking was. So it was still freaking me out every time it happened. And then it was like 2 days after that I had started talking to my friend in Sweden, who I met online, years ago, and I was like, all right, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but you're far enough away to where if you think I'm crazy, you're probably not gonna get me locked up. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what's going on. And he did some research, and then he found out, he's like, I'm not sure if this is right, but from the bits and pieces, because I was talking to him kind of like I am now, where it's all fragmented. But I was talking to him pretty fragmented about it, and I'm like, I know this sounds crazy, but you got to help me out. These people are following me, and I think it has to do with my ex, and da 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 da. And he found the gang stalking thing, and he linked me to a blog. And then from there, I just started searching up gang stalking. But it was shortly after I figured out what gang stalking was that same guy that I work with, Ian, that same guy that I work with had sat there and he was complaining about work when we were in the break room. It was just me and him. And he was complaining about work. He's like, man, I don't get paid enough for this shit. And I was like, oh, but you get paid enough to follow me though, right? Or you get paid enough to follow me on your side job though, don't you? And he was like, oh yeah. And the look on his face when he realized what he said, like he knew he slipped up. His eyes got wide and his jaw kind of dropped. and he began immediately, like, furiously texting on his phone to, I'm guessing, his handler. And after that, it died down entirely until about 4 or 5 days ago, when I was playing Pokemon Go with a friend of mine, and um, we were right by McDonald's after midnight. And again, this is a small town. This is the only place that's open for food after midnight, and they're only open until 1. Um, as we sat in the parking lot to eat our food, 3 black cars came in line, like one right after the other, after the other. It was just, it was weird, the timing of it. All right, and I was like, okay, well, that's odd. Then we went to go to a certain park, which is like, nobody really goes by there at night. Again, this is a very small town. Nothing is really open after 10 o'clock, except for maybe, well, McDonald's and 2 of the gas stations. That's it. And there was a vehicle, a big black Jeep, that drove by us, and the guy in there looked just like my ex-boyfriend that I had mentioned, that probably got this all, or that I had thought at first got this all orchestrated. I mean, same facial hair, same, like, just same build, same skin tone, same eye color, and he drove by, and all he did was glare at me as he slowly drove by us. All right, and so, all right, so shit's hitting the fan is what I'm thinking in my head. I'm like, all right, they're pissed that I know what it is now, and they're more pissed that I called him out on it. And then the day after, once again, we were playing Pokemon Go, and we're at this intersection. Again, this is a small town. There's maybe, like, your chance of seeing red vehicles, you maybe got, like, maybe see 3 a day, if that. But we're at this intersection, and there are 8 red vehicles with their lights on driving by, and one dangerously cut us off right before we got out there, and it was actually a black car, but that one dangerously cut us off. Headlights in the middle of the day. If if we had gone maybe a mile or 2 faster than what we were going, we would have definitely collided. And that's the first time that I ever saw the lights, though, was then. And now it's happening more often. Like, even when I walk across the street to go, because I don't live that far from Walmart and Dollar Tree. So to walk over there to go see that, like, again, in the broad daylight, it's not a cloudy day, these are nice sunny days where people are driving by with their lights on. But I've noticed the street theater has stopped, at least as of now.
Okay, so the street theater stopped. What do you think? Do you think there's been a reduction in, the gang stalking, like the funding of it or the networking of it, or do you think they're trying to? Does it seem like there's other things they're doing in place of that, or it's just?
Well, yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, the lights and the color coding, that is different. That the color coding wasn't there before. It wasn't red and black. It was just sunglasses, FedEx trucks, and uniforms. Sunglasses and FedEx is all it was before. Again, except for that first day. The first day was an all-out assault. Like, I don't really know everything that was going on that first day. Like, I caught bits and pieces, but my mind was racing 100 times faster than anybody's normal speed would, I'm sure. But it was insane. At that moment, if I had there's no doubt that I would have gone and lost it if I had had any kind of weapon whatsoever. Because it was terrifying. But other than that day, there hasn't really been a whole lot of coding except for the sunglasses and the FedEx. The color coding, the red and the black, has just started. But the street theater has died. And like I've mentioned, almost every time I've seen street theater already. So it hasn't been much, but when it does happen, it's usually like an all-out onslaught, except for when it was at work, and that was just one little small incident. But I don't know if funding has been cut or if they're trying to make me think that it's okay, and then they're gonna hit me with an onslaught later, or what? I have no idea. Um, like I said, the color coding is new, so and that one guy is still there at work. So
Are they
I can't.
provoking you? Do you feel?
Yeah, that's what my guess is, that they're trying to. Well, they've tried to cause car accidents already. Like, I don't think they're happy that I called him, that he slipped up the way that he did, and that I just caught him off guard and asked him the question that I did. I don't think they're happy that it's not working like it was before. Because I mean, 6 months ago, I was freaking out. Like, there was, I mean, if they had continued any farther and I hadn't figured out what gang stalking is, there is no doubt in my mind that I probably would have taken my own life.
Right. So there was a point in your life where you were considering suicide.
Oh, multiple points. Like, when things are going that crazy, that time in Kansas City, that was on my mind. And I mentioned it to Michelle, I'm like, dude, I just want to go jump off a bridge. And she's like, this shit is crazy. I'm going with you. And like, we were we were seriously considering it, but
Wow.
yeah, it was intense. Um, but the bus driver, like, the bus driver had to be in on it too, because when they picked us up at the bus stop, first the bus had said, I can't remember what the location was, but then all of a sudden the thing had changed, like, not the, and it wasn't the normal stop that the bus would go to go to, um God, I can't remember what street it is, but the bus that would normally go to that street was like 3 blocks down. We knew that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the bus that pulled up had said that it was, all of a sudden, the name of the direction it was going changed to the street that we wanted to go to. And so, like, even if we had gotten out and ran, I'm pretty sure, like, something, I don't know if they would have prevented it or if they would have encouraged it. I don't know. But when we got to my friend's house where we knew it was safe, like, indoors, we were cool. And like, we did talk for quite some time after that. And then, I don't know, I deleted my Facebook, but she had my phone number, and she just has not contacted me. So I'm not sure if, as far as I know, it never happened to her again after that day. It was just that she was with me. So I think she probably just was like, I don't want nothing to do with you because I don't want to experience that again, or what. But yeah. And there have been multiple times where I felt suicidal, a couple of times that I felt homicidal. That guy that I mentioned at work with the street theater, like, and I'm not a violent person. I mean, I'll defend myself, but I've never been the one to ever get violent. But I was seriously considering just kicking him in the nads as hard as I could and asking why the fuck he was following me.
Right.
And like, the guy, I had it all planned out. I was like, dude, there's no cameras in the break room. We're good. I got this. It's not like he's going to admit that I kicked him in the nuts for following me.
How often do you feel that there are people out there going through this who are provoked to go out and kill somebody or kill themselves? How many times do you think this has happened, or how many times do you think it's going to happen? Because there's no real way we would ever know,
Right. Oh, I wouldn't doubt if it was in the thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even. Maybe not hundreds, but 10,000s for sure. Because it.
Wow.
As far as I can tell, and I've tried to do a little bit digging myself. You're the only person I've talked to, like, actually spoken with, that has gone through this. But almost everything, like almost every blog that I've read, almost every YouTuber that I've watched, almost every single one admits to feeling either homicidal or suicidal at some point during this shit before figuring out what it was.
If I had there was a time in my life where I was hiding. I didn't know what it was, and it was being presented as a hostile thing towards me. That it was people picked just because of how they looked, and they would do things. And I thought it was a thing where people were literally, like, they were literally attempting to kill me. And so had I had an old rifle, I tell people, had I had an old rifle or something laying around, or a gun or something, I would have went outside and I would have used it, and whoever was out there was going to get shot. The people that were doing the gang stalking assignments, I didn't know who they were, but I seen them driving around and out there doing stuff. And had there been children out there, the children would have got shot. Had there been old people out there, the old people would have got shot. I didn't.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have had no instruction manual for the gun or nothing. I just would have went outside and just let that. I just would have let it rain. It was over with. I just would have went out there and just got the blasting, and wherever the bullets landed, that's just where they would have landed. And the cops probably would have showed up. There probably would have been an exchange of fire. You know what I mean? Then it would have turned into a thing where they would have said that, oh, this person was delusional and they were paranoid, yada. But the real truth is I was being targeted with a harassment campaign, a financed networked harassment campaign. And so that's the real danger of this gang stalking stuff is, and most of it across the country is being networked through neighborhood watch groups and stuff. And the reality of it is what's going on is actually putting the neighborhood in danger. Because what's to say that one of these people don't have a submachine gun in their house or AK-47 laying around somewhere, and they're getting gang stalked. They don't know what it is. They call the cops. The cops tell them they're crazy. Yada yada yada. It keeps going on. The guy or girl goes outside and lets off a 30-round blast of a fully automatic machine gun.
It hasn't.
It has. You're absolutely right. I know for a fact, from my experience, that this stuff has been going on, and they're putting people in danger. You get hit with a couple AK bullets, it's going to ruin your day. And there's people out there right now who are getting pushed into situations like that, and they're going to end up blowing their neighbor's head off, or they're going to end up blowing somebody's face off at the store or something, and they're being gang stalked. They're being terrorized. And that's the danger of this stuff, and that's why we need more responsible people who understand it to step up and do something about it. Because it's cowardly for people to sit back and watch stuff like this happen, and you think people's lives, children's lives are in danger, old people's lives are, stuff like that. The degeneracy and the cowardness is shocking, and there has to be more education on the subject available.
Absolutely. I mean, and I don't know if about you, but like there have been times where like kids have been involved in the gang stalking, like they got their kids doing it.
Yep, they got their kids doing it. They're using children. They're drugging people and using psychotronic electronic weapons on people and viciously, repeatedly stalking people, and then putting children out there with the person after they do it that help participate in it.
Yep.
What is going on?
It's insane. I have not had any experience with it's crazy. I've not had any experience with being drugged or anything with the electronic weaponry. But I mean, I know we've got the technology. As far as being drugged, it's really hard to drug my food because I have to make everything from scratch. I'm allergic to soy, so that kind of helps me. It's not like I can go out and eat. But like that one time that I went to McDonald's was just a by chance thing. Like I think I just grabbed a soda. It was everybody else that was eating. But yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Like when things do get intense like they do with me, when they do, it's not a daily thing anymore. It was for a while there, but not anymore. Well, I don't know. Things have changed the last few days. Like I said, ever since Ian slipped up and said that, things have been changing a little bit. But there's no doubt in my mind that if I were out eating, that if they wanted to, they most definitely could have the food drugged and use.
No, it's happened to me several times. I've ate at notable restaurants, and after eating at the restaurant, one time I got sick and I was dizzy, and I didn't know if I was dying or not. I didn't know what was happening, but I knew that somebody went into the restaurant and got the management to agree to it, and they put they drugged my food that I paid for, and I was sick and I was dizzy, and it was a really horrible, very horrible experience. And so I've been covertly drugged several times, and I know how that feels. That's one of the most horrible experiences anybody can ever imagine, to go out to a restaurant and pay to eat food, and you eat it, and the next thing you know, you're dizzy, you're lightheaded, your perception of reality has changed greatly. You don't know what drug's been put in your food. You don't know the effects it's going to have on it. You don't know what in the world is going on, and it's one of the most horrible feelings you can imagine.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And that you ever see that attorney Myron May, where he was getting gang stalked and he went to a college and just started shooting people?
Yeah, yeah. Actually I think you mentioned it in one of your videos, and I did a little research on it.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, and there are plenty of shootings going on where you don't hear what's going on with the victim beforehand, and I would not be surprised if half of, because there has been such a rise in mass shootings lately, I would not be surprised if half of them were being gang stalked.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Is we need to start when they say somebody just shot somebody on TV and it appears, we need to start looking at this stuff and
Yeah.
really looking into it and figuring out, was this person being stalked and harassed by the community they live in? Was there some sort of mind control type of operation going on? What really happened? Because if we can look at what's happened to ourselves, we know how this can happen in plain sight. How people in the community are bought off with prepaid credit cards and restaurant discounts to wear red shirts and dye their hair color red and follow people around in broad daylight with lights on, and everybody in the neighborhood turning their house lights on in broad daylight to gaslight people and stuff. This is some serious stuff. I mean, they're damaging people's minds, and the people are having psychotic reactions to it, really bad reactions to it. And we need to start really looking at this stuff like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the one question that I see a lot of people asking is why? Well, we don't really. It's not like anybody's ever going to give you the details. You can ask a gang stalker multiple times, and half the time they don't even realize that they're gang stalking.
Yeah. No. Yeah, they're giving a disinformation campaign, and it's brought to them through a community watch group, or it's brought to them through their work, the place they're working at, or somebody on the street. Just one woman emailed me, and she found out that she was gang stalking somebody. She said she was at a shopping mall, just minding her own business. Two men approached her. She didn't know who they were, and they gave her $100 to begin changing her hair color and following the man around with brights on the car. And she began doing this, and she said after that point she was contacted through a 1-800 Stop Smoking advertisement, and that would be her cue to know she was going to get instructions to continue stalking the man. And she was following around doing this, and then she went online and started Googling the things she was doing, and she came across one of my YouTube videos. This was a couple of years ago when I first came out of my Beat Gang Stalking courses around June of 2016, and she said she started seeing what she was a part of. And she said that she felt really uncomfortable doing this. She didn't want to do it, but she said she was making money off it, and she was afraid to talk.
To quit.
Yeah, she was afraid to talk about. Well, it wasn't so much. I don't know if she was afraid to quit, but she was afraid to talk about it over the phone. She said, "I don't want to talk about it over the phone because I don't want to be getting stalked." And then I was like, "Wow, man! So you're stalking people and you don't want to do it, and you don't want to talk about it because it might happen to you? That looks like a hostage situation." And
pretty much.
Yeah, this is serious. This is really serious stuff. Really serious stuff. People are being targeted through psychological harassment. 1-800 numbers calling people like they're Manchurian candidates or something to stalk and harass people, and people being paid off. Whole city councils involved in this stuff. This stuff is really, really dangerous. This is some serious stuff. And the public is in way over their head with this stuff, and they need some education on the subject and some responsible people who can help counsel these people and give them some direction and help them figure out what's going on with themselves and give them a fair opportunity to lead a healthy life.
Right.
It's
I know how to
barbaric.
reach out to. Yeah, it's insane. It's talking about cruel and unusual punishment, man.
Yeah, man, we got all these computers. We got science and computers, and we're in 2018. The world's supposed to be a better place, and we can't figure out a way to counsel people and help people get through this degeneracy nonsense that's going on. I mean, people say, well, people say, well, why is it happening? Why is it happening? Well, why were the Nazi scientists cutting little girls' eyes out? Why were they?
Right.
Why was Mengele cutting little boys' eyes out and stuff? And trying to change
why was
the
he
color
sewing them
to
together?
I mean, why?
Yeah.
Yeah, why? Why was he doing it? Why? What do you mean, why? People just do things like that. And so,
Right.
you know, that's just the way the world works. Sit there and
Yep.
ask why. You don't sit there like a moron and sit, why? 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 What do you mean, why? Do something about it. You see it happening.
Right.
Right.
And there's the
These,
other thing too is like they can ask why, but I don't know about you, but for me it took me, I mean, almost 2 years, over 2 years to finally figure out what the hell it was called. You know, I had
right.
tried Googling, you know, things like people listening to my phone and having the same conversation on a but in public. Like I didn't know how to word it because unless I don't like I got lucky when my friend happened to find that blog that had said gang stalking in it. I got really lucky. If that hadn't happened, like all the searches that I were looking into were way too specific. You know, and I tried to
Mm-hmm.
generalize it, but I couldn't think it like it was just multiple stalkers or something. I think I tried that too, and that didn't come up with anything like because it's specifically gang stalking is what we go by, and what we need to do is we need to find a way to reach out to people that are being gang stalked that don't even know what it's called yet.
There has been a lot of that going on. Recently, I met a man who lives on the opposite side of the city from me, a younger man, and me and him began talking, and we live in the same city, and we live in two different neighborhoods in the same city, and I was talking to him, and we found out we didn't live that far apart, and I said, well, the neighborhood I live in is not that far from you. And he started saying, man, there's some strange stuff going on around here. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, my neighbors are acting really weird, and, you know, I think they're trying to do something to me. And I said, well, you know, can you explain that? He said somebody put a neighborhood watch pamphlet in his mailbox, and he went outside and found it in his mailbox. And he said, what do you mean neighborhood watch? Is everybody around here scared? Why is everybody afraid? There's nothing to be afraid of. And he put it on Facebook and started speaking about it. And he said as soon as he did that, the next morning he started waking up. His neighbors would be making all sorts of noise outside, following him in and out of his house, driving by him with the lights on. People would be walking down the street with all green shirts on, and they would stop and drop something, pretend like they dropped something on the ground and pick it up, doing street theater and stuff, mimicking him. And I said, and I started explaining to him. I said, well, do they do this? He said, yeah. I said, do they do that? He said, yeah. He said, how do you know? How do you know? I said, man, I've been going through it for 3 years. It's called gang stalking. He said, gang stalking? What's that? I said, gang stalking is what you're going through, man. And he said, well, when I leave the neighborhood, cars with one headlight follow me around in broad daylight. I said, it's gang stalking. Google it. I've been going through it for 3 years. And so, yeah, and he didn't even know what it was. All he did was find a pamphlet in his mailbox about a neighborhood watch, and he posted it on Facebook and said, why is everybody afraid? Nobody needs to be afraid. This isn't a bad neighborhood. Everybody's happy. And as soon as he did that, he got targeted with gang stalking, psychological harassment. Yeah. So it's a big problem. This is really out of control.
And it starts differently with everybody, it seems. I mean, the thing is, when it actually starts, chances are they've already been watching you and trying to figure out psychologically so that they know exactly how to really get to you.
Mm-hmm.
At least from my experience, like there's just when that first outburst happened, like they had been, the street theater was referencing stuff that like had happened, years ago. So I don't know if they just went through, because at that point I still had Facebook. I don't know if they just went through old Facebook conversations. I don't know what, but they know exactly how to get to you, whether you know what, like before they even make it that so that they want you to see them, they're already doing it.
Right.
I don't know. Like,
yeah, it's street terrorism is what it is.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
the bottom line. If me and you got together and started following people around with red T-shirts and drugging their food and using electronical weapons on them and prank phone calling their phones and sending them death threats and making noise outside, do you know what would happen to us?
We'd get arrested.
You know what would happen
fucking
to us?
heartbeat.
It's street terrorism is what it is.
Yep.
You know what would happen to us if we ran around doing that? If we just took off and ran around the country following people around in red shirts and shining lights at them and drugging their food and using electronical weapons on them and stuff.
Somebody get paid to shoot us, probably.
We'd be dead. We'd be dead, or we'd be all over the news or something. So this stuff is going on all over the world, and it's very frightening, is what it is.
Absolutely.
I just hope, I do the work I can do for people, because my God has instructed that people need that help. People need that help, but it's quite it's going to take a lot of people to really wake up and smell the Maxwell on this.
Yeah, you ain't kidding about that.
People got to wake up and smell the Maxwell.
Let me know. Yep.
Yeah. So the Nazis did the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Telling all their neighbors, telling everybody, we got to do this and we got to do that, and we're going to help people do this and do that. The Nazis did the same thing, and within a few years, the whole continent was leveled, bombed out of existence. Adolf Hitler had a big mouth, and he was sitting up there preaching every day about how he's going to help people do this and that, and within a few years, all of Germany was bombed out of existence. And so, my God took it to him, and he wasn't, when my God stepped in, he wasn't ready for that. And so, there has to be more people who can get involved and do something.
Well, and oddly, I've actually started talking to a couple of people at work about this, like people I know on a different level. Heather's one of them. And it was weird because I told, when I was telling her about I'm like, dude, you're going to think I'm freaking crazy. But, I explained about Ian in the street theater, and I'm like, I know you think it's insane. It's called gang stalking. Like, whatever, you're going to judge me, whatever, fucking, I know I'm of sound mind. And she's like, that's really weird, because just yesterday he pulled up a picture on Facebook, and he's like, hey, this Andrea Rose, doesn't she look just like you? Because I had explained about that other girl that looked, that girl that didn't work there but looked like one of the people that did work there. She had explained that he had asked her, about this other girl that looks like her. So, I have a feeling that he was trying to get her, that other girl, Andrea Rose, which is, it's a small town. I went to school with her. But I have a feeling that he was trying to get her to join on this too, because she looked like Heather, who was one of the people I talked to frequently at work. I mean, it's big. I've actually started talking to a couple of people at work about it. Not going overboard with it, because I like my job and I'd like to keep my job, and I don't want the bad. If I inch my way in and talk to the right people at the right times, I'm confident that I can make everybody aware of it. But if you go all out on everybody at the same time, they're just going to think you're nuts. And so I've talked to a couple of people about it, and actually just today I sent a couple of videos to another friend of mine that I work with. And because she was talking about this conspiracy, podcast that she was listening to. She was talking about this conspiracy podcast that she was listening to, and about Google and YouTube, all listening to phones, or all listening to your conversations and stuff. I'm like, you're close, but it's not just those. It's your entire phone. She's like, what? I'm like, look, I have a feeling that the show that you're watching is eventually going to mention gang stalking if it hasn't already. So I sent her a link to a couple of your videos, and she actually she just texted me back. So I'm curious to see what she says about it. But I mean, that's, other than slowly creeping my way out, I can't think of how to really make everybody aware of it.
Right.
Because there were so many people in this town that were involved. I don't even know if these people lived in, all of them probably didn't live in this town. When the onslaughts, when the big ones hit, it's probably not all people that live in town. But there's enough of them to where I definitely feel like they're the majority rather than the minority in this town.
Yeah, well, no, what it is 90% of the people involved in the gang stalking, and when I say gang stalking, I'm talking about what we perceive as the brightening, the noise campaigns, all this stuff that they're doing. 90% of these people really, they don't even know who you are necessarily. They're being approached through 1-800 numbers, Facebook. They're being approached through the community watch groups. They're being approached through shop watch groups. The parents telling their kids to do certain stuff. People out there's large numbers of people on the streets going around recruiting people, just giving them money. I remember going over into a neighborhood, I'm familiar with growing up. I have family over there where there's a lot of drugs and stuff, and I remember seeing a crackhead stand outside with a red coat on for like an hour for a rock.
Wow.
The dope dealer. Yeah, the dope dealer.
Oh, yeah.
One of the dope dealers. He's in jail. He's in jail now. But one of the dope dealers, he was sitting out there, help coordinating the gang stalking assignments. And I knew him. I knew him. I was okay. I knew him a little bit, but he gave some crackhead a crack rock, and the crackhead was standing on the corner for like an hour for a rock, wearing a red shirt. And then another guy was explaining to me. Another guy, he's on drugs bad, and he was like, "Yeah, man, they were telling us we had to watch you to make sure you weren't doing anything educational or work related because you're on food stamps and all this stuff, and we have to watch you and keep an eye on you." And they give us $30 to go back and forth to the stores with the cars with the brights on, the red shirts and stuff. So there's people on the streets going around paying these people to participate in the gang stalking. And they're giving crack. Yeah, they're giving crack. Crackheads are getting crack to do it. So that's you want to smoke this crack rock? You better go out there with that red shirt on.
Yeah, in a heartbeat, man. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, they got crackheads doing it. They got schools. Schools will get the students to participate in it.
Oh,
it's all out there.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing it. Crackheads. Public works people, store owners and stuff. I mean, they really got it. They really got it together on this stuff.
Oh yeah, basically the only people that aren't getting into it are the ones that are being gang stalked.
Yeah.
I mean, like I had I forgot to tell you about the hospital part. For a bit there when I was shortly after the first onslaught, like when things were still going on every day. I was going to go into the hospital because, like, I thought, I don't know what the hell I thought. I don't know if I thought maybe somebody had drugged me or whatever, but I was seriously suicidal already at that point. This is after, like, less than a month of it. This is when it had just really started. And my school counselor from high school picked me up, and she's like, "Hey, it's me. Do you need a ride?" And I should have freaking, like, realized it because there was a box in the front that had there's a little step stool on it that said the safety hatch or something like that. And, like, they were throwing hints at me, but, like, I was already, like, just glad to see that it was Shannon. She helped me through a lot of stuff when I was in school. And anyway, she brought me over there, and she's like, "You know what, why don't we go ahead and stop at McDonald's. We'll give you one last real meal before you go in." I'm like, "Yeah, well, I'm going to go into the safe word and blah, blah, blah." I was like, "All right." And on the drive back from McDonald's, like, it was constant catchphrases, and she's reading texts on her phone. And I'm already, like, realizing that, I can pick up on a few things. Some things are so obvious it's hard not to pick up on them, especially when they're directed at you. Like, I can tell that she's being texted, like, what to say and what hand motions to use even. Stuff that I had said in high school way away from her, but stuff that I've been talking to my friends about in high school, And then when she dropped me off, there were maybe like 3 or 4 black SUVs that had pulled in, and there were, like, I need glasses, so I couldn't really read the symbols on them, but they were either police, but they weren't police because I know all the police in town. It's a small town, like I said. I know all the officers in town. You can't grow up here and not know them because there's just a handful of them. Anyway, they were, they all had sunglasses. They were all wearing some, uniforms, and they were all wearing, like, police coats, black coats with the emblem on the shoulder. And after they had gone in and came back out, like, I had just gone in, as they had all come out, I was just going in, and I went in, and the lady at the front desk, I'm like, "Look, I need to know where I need to go to get to the psych ward." She's like, "Oh, do you need help?" Which had been one of the catchphrases that they had been using through this entire month. Which, "do you need help" is such a simple thing, but, like, the look on her face, "Do you need help?" do you want me to come with you? Because I know that some people with anxiety, and like I had never told this, like, yes, the doctors there, maybe one or two know that I have anxiety, but this is just a front desk clerk. Like, she doesn't know that stuff. She doesn't ask my name or nothing. And then she's calling me by name, by my name and everything too. And so I went up there and I was talking to the lady at the front there, and then again it was, do you need help? So I freaked out and left. I mean, I freaked out and I left. I was like, okay, clearly this is going to be bad. They're going to try to do something horrible to me here if I try to check in. And yeah, the entire hospital, not the entire hospital, but at least the people, every single person in the hospital that I ran into was definitely part of it on that day. Now, are they still like that? I don't know. I have not gone to the hospital in this town since then. And
no, they only do it. It's only going on when you come around. See, the liaisons that operate from the background through the gangs. See, the corporations run the whole country. America is ran by transnational corporations. They don't just run America. They run Europe. They run Asia. The corporations in this day and world, the corporations run the whole show. They run the government. They run everybody. And so their corporations have a lot of pull with this gang stalking stuff. The corporations are the ones behind the gang stalking. And,
and I know that.
When you go to the hospital, the liaisons are networking the gang stalking through the hospital, and the people running the hospital are telling the people under them what to do. So when you show up at the hospital, they're going to be telling them to make extra checks on you for such and such reason, or to do this, they got to keep an eye on you. Then they'll say, well, put this color shirt on, and they'll have them keep an eye on you with a certain color shirt on. And so it's only happening when you come around.
I know that now, but at the time, this is when, like, this is when everything had first started. I had no idea what the hell was going on. I just knew that, like, those are the thoughts that were going through my head. Like, everybody in this hospital has to be in on. Like, I was freaking out. Like, I think that if I hadn't left for Oklahoma, they probably would have been able. I don't know if they can, but I wouldn't be surprised if you can induce schizophrenia into a person. I mean,
well, the
paranoia.
The side effects. See, that's why when they're gang stalking people, the things they're doing to people, that's one of the reasons why they do them, is because when you explain it, it mimics a little bit mimics somebody who would be going through psychosis, or they would be delusional. And but the thing is we're all filming this stuff on videotape. We're all seeing the same exact stuff, and none of us know each other. And I always tell people, why would somebody in China who was born on a completely opposite side of the world and a different culture, the Chinese people live by an Eastern philosophy, completely different from how we live in the West. So somebody coming from a completely different philosophical background, completely different culture, why would their paranoia or delusions mimic the same exact thing of somebody they don't know word for word on the other side of the planet who's living a Western philosophy, going through a completely different way of life? It doesn't make any sense. If it was something wrong with the person, their delusional order would be more appropriate for their way of life and their culture and the things they're going through. So it doesn't make any sense. So these psychologists and these psychiatrists are a part of this, and a lot of community health workers are involved in this. The young man that I had met that lived on the opposite side of the city from me, he told me a couple of his neighbors worked for community health, and they were a part of the gang stalking. So the hospitals and the psychologists and the community health people, they're involved with it. They're getting money out of it. They're getting resources out of it. They're involved with the street terrorism. And, it sounds, it's really crazy. It really is. And the lack of leadership and the irresponsibility and the failure of people to have any sort of sense of community responsibility and educate people on what's going on is mind-boggling,
Yeah, and it's crazy the way that they do things. I mean, you can be in the same room as somebody. Now, when it's intense like that, the people that I'm with have noticed it. I've already told you my boyfriend's noticed it. My friend Michelle noticed it when it was happening. But if it's in the right situation and they're purposely just aiming towards you, like not for a total freak out, because those total freak outs are what happen when you lose your shit. And then you're trying to explain to your friend that this has been happening for a long time, and then they think you're nuts. But when if if they do it right, like you can be sitting in the same restaurant as somebody else sitting across from you, and that person will have no idea. Like they won't even see it. They don't recognize the street theater. They don't recognize the catchphrases. They don't recognize any of that stuff.
Well, because it's not directed towards them. It takes you a while
Right.
to get sensitized. That's what I come in with the sensitization stage, confusion stage, distraction stage, sensitization stage. The confusion stage, obviously, is where you don't really know what's going on. You don't know if it's even happening to you. Once it goes on for so long, you get used to living this. It goes on 24/7 every single day, so you know what to look for.
Mm-hmm.
You know what to look for. So if I go to the store and somebody has a Pac-Man shirt on, then I go to another store and I see somebody else with a Pac-Man shirt on. Then I go to a third store and I see somebody else with a Pac-Man shirt on. Then a couple days later, the same thing's still going on. Then a month later, it's still going on. So when I go out and I begin to see people with Pac-Man shirts, now I know it's a part of the gang stalking.
Right.
Because it's been going on for so long. So somebody who doesn't really know what's going on with me, if they hang out with me and they see somebody and I say, look, that guy with that Pac-Man shirt on, he's following us. He's doing the gang stalking. They're going to say, you're crazy. And I'm going to say, I'm crazy? Oh, yeah? You weren't with me every single day when I was getting followed like that. You didn't have to live like that every day, so you don't know what to look for. You know? If they,
Yeah, it's crazy.
if they have to, once they learn how to live, if they ever have to live like that, then they'll understand what it's like.
Right. And honestly, I hope nobody else. This is insane. It's terrifying. I'm surprised that, like, after doing a little bit more research and realizing how many of us there are, like, it's insane to realize that all of us are still alive, because most people, they wouldn't have made it past the confusion stage that you talked about. They wouldn't have made it past that.
Yeah. They wouldn't have made it. That's okay, because my God's got me through all this stuff. My God's been allowing me to help other people,
Mm-hmm.
and look at the success stories. And it's like, I'm so glad you contacted me. We got in touch with each other, because just for us to be able to talk is testimony that something's being done about it. Our God's doing something about it. The fact that we're able to connect with each other and find each other and talk about it, and because my God said, don't worry about the misleaders, don't worry about the degeneracy, don't worry about the poor, the parents that don't know how to parent and all that stuff. Those people are enemies of God. They work they believe in demons. They believe in the few dollars they get and the lies and the deception, the corruption. They're enemies of my God. They're under demons. Demons throw them around and tell them what to do. They're the enemies of my God. They can't touch my God. And I know that. And so I'm not worried about it. But once we get people and more people in place together to help each other, then things will really change. We'll come up with alternative economic situations to where we can buy and trade from each other as we want to. We can come up with our own systems of living, get a few people together who are going through this. We can create a lot of different stuff, and it's in the works.
Well, hey, count me in.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely in the works. And, oftentimes, I want to interject this too. When we meet other people who are going through gang stalking, sometimes you will have negative experiences. So you're talking to me, you'll meet a few other people at some point and talk to other people who are going through this. Because you're dealing with people who've gone through a lot. You're dealing with traumatized people whose minds have been messed with. So we can never let that distract us from our goals as well. But it's going down, though. This was a good interview tonight.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I hope I'm giving you some info to help with. I mean, use everything you can.
Right. You've been very instrumental in my success by, putting this out there, and we're gonna come back. If everything goes right, maybe we can come back next week and do it again.
Sure.
You know?
I'm all right with that. Yeah.
Right on. Right
Yeah,
on.
I'm definitely down with that. Because I mean, honestly, I'm just I don't really know how else to help, because it's not like you just see somebody getting gang stalking. I mean, you might, but I've never seen anybody else getting gang stalked. But like, I haven't seen somebody across the street going through the same stuff that I'm going through, because they do it in such a way that they don't want other people to recognize it, I'm guessing. But yeah, if this helps anybody, I mean, I don't know, should I say my name? Can I say my name? Because I mean,
yeah, you can say your name.
Hi, I'm Emily Grams. I live in small town New Ulm, Minnesota. Been gang stalked for a little over 2 years now.
Right on. Right
yeah.
on. Hopefully somebody, if somebody says something and is at where you're at, then we'll get them on three-way at some point.
Heck yeah.
And that's what I'm taught. You got to have that spirit. And so it's a whole lot of people going through it, spread out all over the world. I've spoken to over 100 different individuals going through gang stalking. People from Australia, Argentina, Europe. That's not counting the email. That's just over the phone and
Right.
over Skype and stuff. But I've had emails from people from Africa. One guy was in a village and he had to go 30. He was like living in the jungle pretty much, and he had to go 30 miles to a village to where there was internet access. And then he saw some of my videos. This is back July 2016, about a month after I had been doing it. And he said it was bad, and he didn't know what it was. And I said, man, you're not getting street theater, you're getting swamp theater.
Yep.
Yeah, you're getting swamp theater. And so it's people from all over the world going through it. And there's famous people, too. You know who Stephen Shellen is?
Yes, I did find that. I saw that one, too, when I was looking up the gang stalking. I could not. I mean, and you would think more people would be aware of it if there are celebrities. Well, I mean, he's a celebrity in his own right. He's not but you would think that people would be more aware of it.
Yeah, Stephen Shellen. I liked Stephen Shellen when I was younger. I watched one of the movies he was in called Stepfather with an actor named. You seen that movie?
Yes.
Yeah, wasn't that's one of the most. I love that movie for some reason. Stepfather, where he can just not get it. He has Terry O'Quinn plays the part of the actor, and he has the perfect image for being a family man, sort of like that 1950s classic look. Like he's a good family man, and everything goes well. He finds women with children, and everything goes well. Then at the last minute, he just goes nuts and just starts killing people.
Yep.
And at the last point of the movie, Stephen Shellen came in playing the part of the brother of the last family that Terry O'Quinn killed, and he came in and Terry O'Quinn was like, "Get away from my family!" and did a $150 on him with a steak knife in the living room. And I remember when I was little, I used to watch that movie back. It's an old movie from late 80s, early 90s, and when I seen Stephen Shellen was getting gang stalked, I was like, what the hell? That's the guy from the movie I used to watch when I was a little kid. He's getting gang stalked. What the hell is going on? And, he was gone in 60 seconds. It would be nice to get Stephen Shellen. I wish I could get Stephen Shellen on my program.
Right, no kidding. But of course, there'd be no way to contact. But you would still, I don't know, you would just think that any news outlet would be like, holy crap, gang stalking, and it's a celebrity? That's kind of serious. Let's throw that out there. You would think that everybody would jump on that.
Yeah, they're like, whoever's gang stalking him, they're like celebrity gang stalkers, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrity gang stalkers, I wish Steve, he got the website. That'd be the bomb. Wouldn't that be the bomb if we can get Stephen Shellen on here?
Heck yeah.
Hell yeah. We put a little clip of the Stepfather movie and stuff, and some of his stuff, and get, that'd be the bomb. We get him on here. We'd be all there. We can get Stephen Shellen on here. But, the Scientology stalks people.
Yep, I've heard that one a lot. Like, and I think it was actually one of your videos that mentioned if you're trying to explain gang stalking, to explain Scientology stalking first, and then be like, well, it's like that, but there was no Scientology involved. Yeah.
Right. Oh man, that would be the bomb. If we can have Steve and I talking about, the how did you beat the confusion stage at gang stalking and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, see what he has to say. So that'd be crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of.
There's got to be a way to contact him at some. Like, I mean, it would have to go through like multiple people, I'm sure, but.
No, he got the website.
Yeah, but to contact him and there's got to be a way to contact him and maybe he'd respond. Yeah, I haven't seen the website. I just know that I saw a YouTube video on it.
I'll email it to you. Yeah,
all right, cool.
Yeah, he has a friend of mine from New Jersey emailed me the website, and he was on Romola. He was doing an interview with Romola D. You know that chick, Dr. Horton?
Mhm.
Dr. Horton was doing an interview. Dr. Horton and Romola D do the interviews. Then I saw Romola D interviewing Stephen Shellen. I'm telling you, the stuff. I respect Dr. Horton. I respect Romola D. I don't know that much about him. I've seen some of their work, and I support them 110%, no matter what. But I'm telling you, the stuff. See, in my videos, you gotta watch my YouTube videos. I got like the dog pound playing and stuff when you first come. You ever seen it? We got like the dog pound. We got like 2 short beats and stuff. We got E40 beats and stuff. You know what I mean?
I'm sure he'd be all for it, man. I mean.
Oh yeah, we put E40 on there and everything. We do it big. You know.
Heck yeah. Well, hell, we should look into that and we should really give that one a shot.
Right. That's what we need.
Okay, I just wanted to go ahead and say this real quick. As I'm sitting here looking out my window, again, this is a small town. If you see 3 red cars a day, that's a surprise. Just like in the last, 4 or 5 minutes, I've seen 6 red vehicles, not just cars, there's trucks too. But just drive by, and like I'm right at the edge of town. There is Walmart here, but it's about the only thing that it would be going to. It's just a lot of vehicles. It was one right after the other. It was like a little convoy. But I don't normally sit and look out my window either, but.
Yeah, I used to sit there. I remember going to the lake and watching them actually bring out boats and have the boats do it.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah. Oh, I live by an airport. They've had airplanes do it in broad daylight with the airplane lights on.
Okay, I live right by an airport too, actually. Not right by it, but it's maybe 2 or 3 blocks away.
Mhm.
Would be the distance. It's not actual blocks because it's like its own little landing area. But yeah, we can hear them every day. I guess I haven't watched the planes. Wow. I think at this point, like I've maybe kind of tuned it out a little bit from the start there, so I haven't really been paying a whole lot of attention lately because I've just kind of grown used to it, I guess. But the color coding, that one is definitely new, and I'm realizing just as I'm looking out my window. I have gotten lucky. I haven't had too much of the distraction stage. Like I haven't had my neighbors banging on the walls or anything like that. And I do live in an apartment, but I don't know. I think like it's almost like they missed that step almost entirely with me on that one. I mean the street theater, and then it went straight to sensitization. Well, I guess they're probably doing the sensitizations from the get-go, but in subtle ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely. I remember talking to people who they were living in an apartment and the neighbors above them would purposely like jump up and down and stomp on the floor at certain times or have their kids doing it to create noise.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it. We're really lucky in the fact that this apartment complex, quote unquote, actually used to be a nightclub. So there's only one level, and then there's the basement. But there's 6
Oh,
apartments.
that's
We do
cool.
have neighbors. Yeah, we've got neighbors on both sides of us. Like on 2 sides of us. But we're also on the corner, so it's the one neighbor that's on the one side, like it's past our kitchen is where they're at, and then the other one is right next to the living room. And the ones that we would be able to hear are the ones that are by the living room, but we don't.
Mm.
They haven't banged on the walls or anything like that. I've not really talked to them too much, but they seem pretty nice.
Mm.
I tend to see the father whenever I'm coming, like whenever I get back from work, is usually about the time that he's going off to work. So stop and say hi a little bit there, but I don't know. Yeah, this it used to be a nightclub, and then a few years ago, I mean, I say a few, like I was in high school, so like 10 years ago. A buddy of mine used to live here, and so did one of his other friends, and they used to have fight clubs in the basement.
Damn, really?
Yeah, well, kids are kids. I mean, they must have been like 18 and 19 at the time when they were doing that shit. It's a
Mm.
small town. There's nothing else for teenagers to really do. It's not like
Mm.
we've got a swimming pool. We used to have a roller dome, a roller rink, but they got rid of that. Um, but otherwise, there's just not a whole lot for teenagers to do. There's a lot for little kids to do, and there's a lot of stuff for like older people that like checking out the historical stuff. But for teenagers, all you can do is get in trouble, basically. you know.
Yeah. That's much
Sorry, I
to
got
get
off
in
topic
trouble.
there.
No, but yeah, this stuff is fascinating. Like, if you're not getting it where you live at, then that's really good. If it's not happening right where you live at,
Yeah.
it is really good. Like some people I talk to, there's exceptions to where they live is not happening, or they work is not happening, or yada yada yada. And it's just like, for me, it's like everywhere. It's like the stores, the area where I live at. People, it's like I don't even got to do anything, and people just come out of nowhere doing it.
Mhm.
And it's like some
Well,
people, it's like some places it doesn't happen at. It's like I'm glad to hear it.
I'm just glad it died down a little bit because if I had to deal with it every day, like that same initial onslaught, like there's no way I would
Mhm.
be talking to you right now. There's no
Mhm.
way. Um, uh, the sensitization stage, like I said, that's just starting and it's a little new yet. But I got this feeling that it's gonna pick up pretty hard within the next couple of weeks. Um, but the distraction stage, like I got lucky on and didn't have a whole lot of that, or maybe I did and I was distracted by all the freaking street theater that I didn't even pay attention to it. I don't know. Um, 'Cause when that stuff, I don't know about you, but when that stuff was happening to me and I had no idea what was going on, my mind was moving like a million miles an hour, and I mean, it was hard to focus on anything because there was just so much going on. It was insane. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't just like one or two people doing the street theater or whatever. It was hundreds and thousands in the right city. It was insane. Like
Right.
I felt like I was the only normal person in the freaking world that wasn't brainwashed. And that's like I didn't know. Like I like I said, I went through multiple different. First, I thought everybody was brainwashed. Then I thought they were trying to brainwash me, and I thought that they were out to get me. And like there are just so many different thoughts that you go through when you're that terrified, and none of them are really logical until you get to sit away from all the insaneness and actually process it a little bit.
Right.
Insaneness,
It's
insanity, whatever. But yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
so what do you propose we do to come back on here again and do it again? You
Yeah,
like
I'm.
how much
What?
how much of a break? Because I'm doing it. I do it 24/7. I'm not on the phone doing the stuff 24/7, but I'm working on my courses for my God. So my God's
Right.
coming out with a whole new something brand new for him soon. And
Well,
so
if you think that I can help in any way, just let me know and I'll do what I can. As far as the journal is going, there hasn't been a whole lot of it because I haven't. I mean, I haven't gone out. Like today was insane hours. I worked from 7 to like 6, I think. So I haven't. And again, I also live on the edge of town. So when I go, like if I'm downtown, like stuff might happen. I'll make a point to head out there this weekend and see if anything's up, and we can collab on that. But If there is any way I can help you with the courses or anything at all, let me know. I'm definitely open for it.
Right.
The biggest thing I think is just getting the information out there to people, like, and this is probably the biggest one, is getting the information out to people that are being gang stalked but have no idea what it's called yet. Those are the people that I think should really be focused on reaching. But once they know what gang stalking is, they can go through the courses, and you've got plenty of really good detailed videos. But reaching out to the people that need it is a big one.
It'd be nice if we can come up with a survey.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a good idea.
Has this happened to you? Has this happened to you? You know?
Yeah.
Like if we had some 1-800 numbers or something?
I'm sure we can figure something out. I'll do a little brainstorming and I'll call out to a few people and see if I can't. We need to come up with the 1-800 stop gang stalking type of thing, and just have it advertised on fucking TV. Except nobody watches commercials anymore, so billboards, something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I don't know. Let me think on it, and let me go over a couple of things, because I know that you can pay to get stuff advertised on billboards. I don't know how much it costs, but even if we just do it like here and there, like once a year or something, just something to start with, or hopefully more often than once a year. But I don't know. They might try to put a stop to something like that, though. Go ahead and debunk it as insane people trying to something. I'm sure they would, but it doesn't matter if everybody else thinks that we're crazy, as long as the people that know that that have this stuff happening to them have a place to go to. Like, that's a number one.
Right. Yeah, well, think on it and just get back. I'll be here.
Yeah. All right. And actually, my phone's just about kind of low on battery, but yeah. Give me the weekend. Let me try to outsource a bit and see what I can do, and maybe see if you can find any resources. Right, because you're in a bigger city. Like, you're gonna probably have a better chance of that. I mean, the city that I'm in, this is a small German town, and up until now, like, there's this dude that's been trying to open up a tattoo shop in this town for like 6 years, and the city council has said no every time. Till finally they're saying yes because we're losing people are moving out of town. But like Walmart, the reason that Walmart is built on the edge of town like it is because the city said no. They didn't want Walmart. So Walmart was like, all right, well, screw you. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to build Walmart half a mile away from the city limits.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, there are billboards here, and I do see personal advertisements on some of them, so I'm sure there's a way to do it.
Right.
I don't know. I'll just brainstorm on it, and then we'll collab and figure that out. What other things I know you mentioned you were going to be putting the, oh, geez, I have it written down in my notebook. There were more courses you were going to be putting out. The new stages you had been mentioning, or not the new stages, but...
Oh, yeah, I was talking about the defense and offense.
Yes.
Defense and offense, how my first strategy was to tell people, the first thing that I stood on was telling people to go out and meet the people who are actually participating in the gang stalking, let them know, what's going on, how it affects you, what you're going through, how you feel about it, and explain it to them as the best you can, and ask them questions about their participation, what they know about it, or what they think about what you're telling them, what you're experiencing. And when you go through a whole day of that, 3 days in a row, you're going to be really exhausted. Some people would be exhausted after a couple hours, but after like 2-3 days, you get exhausted. You can't do it every single day. And a lot of people who get gang stuck go through isolation naturally. It actually does that to them. So I tell people, break the isolation factor, and engage everybody and everything you can, and let them know what's going on, you know. And then you withdraw yourself, you know. You withdraw yourself from it for a couple days and meditate and use that isolation as a tool. Because so people who say I'm isolated, I'm being gang stalked, I don't want to go outside, I don't want to act with people, you break that isolation, you break the ice, you get out there, do what you need to do, tell people what's going on, you get as active as you can, really active and like super active, and then you withdraw your energy for a couple days after you get exhausted, then you go back out there and you do it again. It'll actually restructure your mind and rewire your mind to be able to deal with it. Like, you will become the programmer of your mind. Like, don't think with your mind, you think for your mind. You shape your mind through your will and program yourself on how to do this and how to complete your goals. And before you know it, you know, you'll have a whole little philosophy, a whole new way of life. You go out there, you deal with it 24/7, then you isolate yourself. And you use that isolation to get you through it. And so the isolation no longer becomes a negative. Before, when people are saying, I'm isolated, it's a negative thing. Well, it's not a negative thing if you just spent 2 days out there get active, breaking the ice.
You're just recovering, man.
You're just recovering.
Yeah.
So, you know, so that's how you take the isolation from being some negative stereotype that you've done something wrong or you're being defeated, and you turn it into a resting period. You know, use the isolationary rest, you know. You go out there for 2-3 days and put your work in, and then you rest for a couple days.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really does help a lot. Like, I wish I had found your videos, honestly, 3 months ago. Like, I would have had my own apartment and everything else a lot sooner than it took, because, like I said, I just didn't want to go out. I mean, I worked at Subway for 3 days before. Well, I also, again, it's the soy allergy, so every time I touched anything, like in the back rooms when I was cleaning up, if my arm happened to touch the freaking counters or whatever, like, I'd start breaking out in hives. That wasn't good for customers. But at the same time, like, I felt like I knew it was just a matter of time before I was going to get smacked in the face with an onslaught of people with sunglasses and everything else. And you can't think like that. You can't worry about what's going to happen. You just got to prepare yourself for when it does and know how to respond to it.
Right.
And, you know, if you go out and be active about it, if I had found your videos before and I had seen like how out there and like just honest and out forward you were with it, like if I had that mindset before, it probably would have helped a lot.
Right.
But yeah, then you just settle down on your days off. If you're working, you settle down on your days off and you just take those couple of days to recoup a bit and face it again. No matter what, it doesn't just stop for everybody. I mean, for a couple of people, from what you told me, it does stop. But for the most part, I mean, who knows how long the longest person has been dealing with gang stalking has been going through it, you know?
It might go on forever. You never know.
Right. Exactly.
Gotta
you just
adapt,
gotta prepare for it.
Yeah, adapt to it. Adapt what you can to it. You know, the street terrorism may be going on forever. You know, just like you know, there's people out there who've been doing other things forever. You know, so you know it's all good.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's all good. But I'll be here though. We'll talk again.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me, and you have a good night.
Okay, you too.
All right, thanks, man.
All right.
Catch you later. Bye.
Yeah.